Good morning, student. In theme 4, today I will tell you about Lord Buddha, Gautam Buddha, from 563 BC to 483 BC. His birthplace was Lumbini near Kapilvastu in Nepal. He was born in 563 BC. His father's name was Sudodhana. He was the king of Kapilvastu. He also belonged to Sakya family. His mother name was Mahamaya. She was also the princess of Koshala, but she died within 1 week of his birth, and he was scared by his mother's sister Gautami. At the age of 16, he was married with Yashodhara, and she gave birth to a son, Rahul. Gautama was not interested in married life. At the age of 29, he left home. That was called Mahaparityaga. At the age of 35, he attained the knowledge or great enlightenment. His first sermon, which one is called Pravachan, sermon at Sarnath near Banaras, Dharam Chakra Parivartana. That was called Dharam Chakra Parivartana. He passed or he died away in 483 BC at Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh. Now, the Buddha and the quest for enlightenment. What was going on in the life of the Buddha? Which changes occurred in the life of Buddha? Buddha was one of the most influential teachers of his time. His message spread across the subcontinent and beyond through Central Asia to China, Korea, and Japan, and through Sri Lanka, across the seas to Myanmar, Thailand, and Indonesia. It means that in Asia or mainly in the Southeast Asian countries, this religion was spread up. Buddha's was named Siddhartha at birth and was the son of the chief of Sakya clan Shushotna. I just told you. He led a sheltered upbringing in the palace, detached from the harsh realities of life. He undertook a journey into a city, which was a turning point of his life. He once a time he one day he told his charioteer that to take him into the city. But when he roaming in the city, he was deeply anguished. Anguished means pain. उसको दुख हुआ. When he saw an old man, a sick man, and a corpse. Corpse means dead body. It was at the moment that he realized that decay of human body was inevitable. Inevitable means necessary, unavoidable. That every human person was die one day. That one is unavoidable. That one is necessary. He saw a mendicant. Mendicant means rishi who had come to terms with old age and disease and death and found peace. He saw that rishi or mendicant, he was full of the peace. No worried he saw on his face. Then soon after, Siddhartha left the palace at the age of 29 in search of truth. He explored many paths, including bodily mortifications. He abandoned the extreme path and meditated for several days and finally attained the enlightenment at the age of 35 and came to be known as Buddha or the enlightened one. For the rest of his life, he taught the Dhamma, or the path of the righteous living. It means at the age of 35, he got the enlightenment, and then the whole life he did the work. He also, rest of his life, he taught the Dhamma. Next slide, I will tell you about the Dhamma. This is the Bodhi tree under which he got the enlightenment. Now, the main teachings of Buddhism. What was the main source? How can we know about the teachings of Buddha? We found the the main their teachings in the form of the stories in Sutta Pitaka. Although some stories describe his miraculous powers, others suggested that Buddha tried to convince people through reasons and persuasions rather than through display of the supernatural power. I am giving you one example. When a stricken woman, a grief-stricken woman whose child had died, came to Buddha, he gently convinced her about the inevitability of death rather than bring her son back to life. So these stories were narrated in the language spoken by the ordinary people so that this could be easily understood. Now the main teachings of Buddhism. According to Buddhist philosophy, the word is transient. Transient means for a very less time and constantly changing. We saw that nothing is permanent on this world. It is also soulless, as there is nothing permanent or eternal in it. Then he told that in this transient world, sorrow means dukh, is intrinsic or to the human existence. He said that the dukh, sorrow is a part of the human life. And then he told that it is by the following of the middle path between severe penance and self-indulgence that human beings can rise above these worldly problems. So, if we adopted the middle path, so then we also, the human beings can rise above from their worldly problems. Then, in the early forms of Buddhism, whether or not God existed was irrelevant. It means that Lord Buddha did not believe on the God. Buddha regarded the social world as a creation of humans rather than the divine origin. Or divine means God. That this world was created by the human, not by the God, and thus advised the kings and Gahapatis to be human and ethical. That ethical means honest or good. That kings and Gahapati should be humane and ethical, good or honest with their subjects. Buddhism emphasizes literally the extinguishing of the ego. Extinguishing means khatam kar dena. Of the ego and desires, and thus end of the suffering of those who renounce the world. So, if we want the peace, so ego and desire should be extinguishing. Now, the Four Noble Truths according to Buddhism. The world is full of sorrows and miseries. संसार दुखों का घर है. Desire is the cause of all sorrows and miseries. Desire, ichha, that was the main cause of the sorrow. Then sorrowing can be ended only by eliminations of the desires. Our sorrows can be ended when we eliminate the desires. When sorrow ends, there is a perfect bliss. There must be a way to attain bliss and end the desire. That was the noble Ashtmarga eightfold path. That how can we, away from these desires, we should have to adopt this eightfold path. Now you see the eightfold path. First one is right view. Second is right determination, right speech, right livelihood, right actions, right exercise, right memory, and right meditation. So, in this way, we attain the moksha or salvation. Now, I am telling you about the followers of the Buddha. Buddha's last word to his followers were, "Be lamb unto yourself, as all of you must work out your own liberation." तुम अपने लिए खुद ही ज्योति बनो, क्योंकि तुम्हें खुद ही अपनी मुक्ति का रास्ता ढूंढना है. दिस इज द मीनिंग ऑफ द बुद्धा's last word. The body of disciples of the Buddha or an organization of monks is called the Sangha. That organization of the monks, that organization on that time is called the Sangha. Buddhas founded a Sangha. It was an organization of monks who became the teachers of Dhamma. These monks led a simple life, possessing only the essential requisites for survival, such as the bowl to receive food once a day from the layman. It means that they were totally depend on the bhikshas. As they lived on the alms or bhiksha, they were known as the bhikshus. Initially, only men, it means at the starting, only men were allowed to be a part of the Sangha. But later, women also came to be admitted. Buddha's foster mother, Maha Prajapati Gautami, was the first woman to be included as bhikshuni. Many women who entered the Sangha became teachers of the Dhamma and went on to become Haris or respected women who had attained the liberation. So the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis both, when they entered in the Sangha, they became the teachers of the Dhamma and they spread the teachings of the Lord Buddha. Buddha's followers came from many social groups. They included kings, wealthy men, Gahapatis, and also humbler folks, workers, slaves, and craftspeople. It means all type of the people, maybe the rich or maybe the poor people, they all were the followers of the Buddha. Once within the Sangha, they were regarded as equal, having shed their earlier social identities on becoming bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. It means when they entered in the Sanghas, all the people, maybe the rich or the poor people, they all are the same. They were shed of their earlier identities, and now they having the same identities. All one are the bhikkhus or the bhikkhunis. The Buddhist Sangha, which comprise of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, functioned on the lines of ganas and the sanghas. It means they were follows the same rules which they were adopted in the ganas or the sanghas. Where consensus was arrived at based on discussion. If discussion failed or to bring about harmony, then decisions were taken by a vote on the subject, on that subject. It means that when there was any problem going on any topic, so then for making the harmony or taking the decision through the voting system. Now the spread of Buddhism. Buddhism grew rapidly both during the lifetime of the Buddha and after his death. Now, what's the main reason why the Buddhism, this religion was rapidly spread up? People on that time were dissatisfied with the prevailing religion and were confused by the social changes that were occurring on that time, because of the many religion were there, or their people were not satisfied with the sacrificial Hindu religion, and that's why they wanted the another path. Then the Buddhism emphasized on the importance of conduct and value rather than claims of superiority based on the birth. Like we see that in the Hindu religion, the people they were on their they were doing the work according to their birth. Like as you know that the society was divided into varnas, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, but there was no any compulsion in this Buddhism, that they were giving only one important their code of conduct and the values. The emphasis was laid on metta, fellow beings, mitra, and karuna, daya, compassions, especially for those who were the young and the weaker than oneself. So this one is also the main reason that the people spread up, people follow this religion. These were the ideas that drew men and women to the Buddhism. That's why this religion was spread up very quickly. Thank you, student.